for entertainment purposes only. And if you want true legal advice, contact your own lawyer.
2012.
2012 was that fatal shooting of George Zimmerman shoots Trayvon Martin.
That's right.
This is where a lot of the Black Lives Matter kind of started in this. And now George Zimmerman is Hispanic.
Yes.
And Trayvon Martin was African American. And the basic thing is George Zimmerman is a security guard for a gated community that was it a retirement type community?
No, it was just I think it was just a gated.
Just a regular community that had their gated regular community.
What happened?
This is what brought the whole stand your ground law to the forefront. And in Florida, the stand your ground law, like everywhere else, is that if you are the victim of an assault, somebody comes at you, you don't have to run away. You don't have to try to leave. Sometimes people in some states, you can have liability if, even though you're attacked, if there is a safe harbor type situation where there's a break in the attack, you have to immediately disengage and leave. And stand your ground laws essentially say, no, you don't. And Trayvon Martin,
that you can defend yourself.
And so George Zimmerman saw Trayvon Martin, followed him for a little bit because he thought he was suspicious. He was wearing a hoodie.
It was raining. And
and that was where the whole, really, you had reasonable suspicion, or you followed him because he had a hoodie on. And nothing occurred at that point, according to Zimmerman. What occurred was that according to Zimmerman, that Martin actually came and assaulted George Zimmerman because Martin didn't like the fact that Zimmerman was following him around. And there was a confrontation. As alleged by Zimmerman, at one point in time, Martin had Zimmerman on the ground, and Zimmerman was on his back. Martin was over the top of him, and Martin said that Zimmerman said that Trayvon Martin went for his gun, so he pulled his gun out and shot Trayvon Martin in the chest. Trayvon Martin died. The case was investigated and dismissed, and no charges filed initially under a self-defense claim.
Pressure.
And then a week and a half, 2 weeks later, there were new witnesses, and it led to a prosecution. When we come back, we'll pick up on that, about what Zimmerman is saying happened as a result of that and why he believes he's entitled to $100 million.
Yeah, this is 2012. It's now just coming out because of actually some evidence that they're finding now, according to Zimmerman, his attorney, that needs to be brought out that shows that he was basically, I'm not going to say. We'll be back.
No, I don't know what happened, but boom, it all just played at once. Back to the show. Here's Fred, Todd, and Denise.
That must be what it's like for the Almighty to hear everybody petitioning. There's all these stuff going on.
That was prayer time. Like it
yes.
Right.
You should have seen Cal when that was going on. He's just like quietly looking at the board and going,
Well, what can I do?
What can I do? There we go. He did it to confuse us and throw us off. George Zimmerman, you were talking still about George Zimmerman.
Yeah, so the long and short of the George Zimmerman case here is that he was ultimately acquitted. He was charged criminally, and he was acquitted at trial. That raised a lot of – I remember there was a lot of concern over this. There was a lot of fear that
people went to the streets, actually.
And there was a lot of fear that the response was going to be similar to that of Rodney King back in the 90s. But he was acquitted, and George Zimmerman is an interesting character. He's had – various things happened to him over the years. Certainly his life was turned upside down by all of this. But he has now filed a lawsuit claiming, and he's included Trayvon Martin's mother, he's included some news publications, he's included the lawyers, he's included, I believe, prosecutors, witnesses, because his argument here is, look, the police investigated this and said that this was a case of self-defense. And then a week and a half, 2 weeks later, 2 new witnesses came forward with critical information. Where were they when the police were doing their investigation? And he is alleging that they were coached, that the witnesses' information was fabricated, that it was fraudulent, and that that's what caused him to go through everything that he had to go through. News outlets then took it and ran with it, knowing that it was false information. So he's throwing the whole kit and caboodle. He's hired an attorney that handles this sort of type of lawsuit. So it's not like It's not like he's hired an attorney that doesn't have experience in this realm, and I view this as let's throw stuff against the wall and see.
Well,
and it's $100 million in a civil lawsuit, so it's not a criminal matter that's pending.
But here's some interesting things. The allegations are they switched witnesses. Not only that, but there is an actual there's evidence in a book, in a documentary film that's called Trayvon, the Trayvon Hoax, Unmasking the Witnesses Fraud That Divided America. And that is just coming out, and there's evidence in there. They're claiming, again, this is allegations that show there was a fraud was perpetrated on the court by the Trayvon Martin family and by, their attorneys and,
Yeah, their attorneys are being sued.
Yeah, they're suing everybody for $100 million, claiming that his life has been ruined because of this. And boy, what a...
But correct me if I'm wrong. Right after he does this with Trayvon Martin, doesn't he do something else that he actually serves some time for?
Yeah, some other he got in a fight or something to that effect, I believe.
Yeah, it was something. It was like he got into trouble. Anyway, I think it's either going to be really, really good or really, really bad for him. It's not going to be in the middle. He better settle it, is what I figure. Because
I think that this is a no-win situation from anyone. Let's
Exactly.
face it. I remember this was going on. I said it's a no-win. No-win for the Trayvon Martin's family. It's a no-win for Zimmerman. It's just a no-win for America, to be honest with you. Everyone think, oh yeah, it is a win because it started the Black Lives Matter. This is where it started. But I'm saying it's still a no-win situation because it was just a bad situation on both sides. And even if you're on Trayvon Martin's side, it's still Zimmerman's life has been thrown in the mix and vice versa. So interesting to see why this is all coming to a head again and starting all over. But it's going to be interesting.
I don't understand why you would sue the Trayvon Martin's family members when he knows that they're not going to be able to pay $100 million.
No, but they're part of it, and that you have to, in a lawsuit. I mean, the allegations is they were part of this hoax, is what he's claiming. And so you have to throw everybody in. You can't leave an empty seat.
Plus, didn't they get some money, like a settlement thing or something? Didn't they get some money out of the deal somehow?
I don't remember.
They did not. He was acquitted.
No, but I mean in a civil action.
Trayvon
later.
Martin did they?
Okay.
I don't remember. They may have. I don't know. Did they sue? I would think Trayvon Martin's family could sue the association because he acted on behalf of the association.
No, he wasn't. He was actually a neighborhood watch volunteer.
Oh, that's right. But you could still say he's part of the association. But go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you kind of said it with your last thing there. There's always the empty chair. And so if you don't include people, everybody's going to blame the empty chair. In criminal prosecutions, if you have like a co-defendant case, 2-3 different people charged the same thing, the prosecution is never going to resolve it with one person and then go against the other person unless there's some deal for testifying against them. Because if it's a theft case and you got 2 people and I dismiss against one, then party B, party 2 that I prosecute is going to say, no, it was party 1, the guy that you dismissed against. They're always going to point to the empty chair. We were talking about other legal trouble of George Zimmerman. Before the Trayvon Martin case, back in 2005, there was an allegation, there was a restraining order that had been filed against him by his significant other at the time on allegations of domestic violence.
With Trayvon Martin?
No, with George Zimmerman.
Okay, got it.
So he had that filed against him.
That's not unusual, Todd, in a divorce case.
Yes, but the interesting thing, though, is typically with restraining order cases and restraining orders, there is a firearms prohibition. I don't know how long the restraining order went or what Florida's law is with regard to prohibition on firearms even after the restraining order has been taken off.
That's standardized now.
But so there was that in 2005. Zimmerman's wife pled guilty to perjury charges in 2013 for statements that she made in connection with the criminal investigation. And then Zimmerman did run into some trouble in 2015. He was arrested by Lake Mary police, charged with aggravated assault with a weapon.
See, that's what I thought.
After it was alleged he threw a wine bottle at his ex-girlfriend. He was released on bond. Charges were not filed. In 2016, Zimmerman called the sheriff's department to report that he had been punched in the face, so he's back to being a victim again. And again, in later 2016, he was removed from a bar for yelling at a waitress. So Anger issues surround him as both a alleged victim and defendant, suspect.
And he's always plays the victim.
He does.
That's
So-
what it feels like to me, anyway.
You know what? We're going to move on because who knows what's going to happen there.
He also
we're just
sued
starting.
another party. That's an interesting part. I just want to say this.
Sure.
He's accusing the publisher of HarperCollins, defaming him in Crump's book, Open Season, Legalized Genocide of Color People. And basically he's mentioned in that book that he used actual malice, knowing the untruth, or at a minimum, a reckless disregard for the truth when he attacked Trayvon Martin.
Yep.
And
No,
when he shot him.
talk about Zimmerman, when they talked about Zimmerman. Right.
Yes, but when Zimmerman attacked.
Right.
So they were saying that Zimmerman really created the whole situation.
Probably a dumb question. Is he becoming a professional court guy, professional plaintiff?
Not really. No, this is
No.
only a few. No.
This is just one suit of none.
Yeah, I don't
think
know.
this is
Where
the
his
first
life's been
time
going,
he's.
huh? Okay.
Yeah, this is the first suit that I know he's filed. But he filed it against Trayvon Martin's mother, and she's running for public office.
Yes, commissioner in Florida.
And by the way, you had mentioned Crump, who was quoted in that article. Crump was the attorney for Trayvon Martin's mother, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
for the family.
for the
Actually, for the whole
family. And
family.
so-
yeah.
Those are the allegations he made.
So we'll definitely be following that as time goes on, but we want to talk about a judge tossing out a $70 million verdict.
Go to the website, radiolawtalk.com. That's radiolawtalk.com.